You are 16 years old. You live in Shinjuku. The streets smell like cigarette smoke, ramen steam, and money you'll never touch. Not yet. There's a man in a black suit standing outside the pachinko parlor. He doesn't move. He doesn't speak. He just stands there, and everyone else moves around him. The salarymen, the tourists, the old women with grocery bags. They don't look at him. They know not to. You look at him. You've been looking at men like him your whole life, wondering what it costs to become something that other people have to walk around. You're about to find out. You are a nobody. That's not an insult, it's a rank. You run errands for a man named Hayato who controls 2 blocks in Kabukicho. You don't carry anything. You don't touch anything. You deliver messages mostly, a folded piece of paper from one person to another. You don't read it. You don't ask what it says. You knock on the door, you hand it over, you walk away. That's the job. Hayato pays you 5,000 yen a week, roughly $35. It's nothing, but it means he sees you, and being seen is everything. You sleep on a futon in an apartment shared by 4 men who are older and quieter than they should be. One of them has a tattoo that runs from his shoulder to his wrist, a dragon coiled in red and black ink. He never explains it. He never has to. You watch. That's your job, really. You watch how men with power move, how they don't rush, how they never look surprised, how they make everyone around them smaller without raising their voice. Most guys at this level quit after 3 months. The money's wrong and the hours are worse. You don't quit. You don't quit because you already understand something they don't. This is not a job. This is an audition. Here's what the next level actually looks like. You are now Hayato's man, officially, not paper officially, street officially, which means more. You sat in a room, you poured sake, you pressed your hand flat on a wooden table, while an older man read words you almost understood. Ceremonial, heavy, like signing a contract in a language that has no cancellation clause. Your assignment, you stand outside the club on Fridays and Saturdays from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. You watch who comes in, who causes problems, who needs to leave before they become a problem. You are 18 years old and you are deciding who gets through the door of a place that makes 4 million yen a weekend. You carry a phone now, not messages. When it rings, you answer before the second vibration. The work is mostly waiting, standing still in a suit in the cold while music thumps through the door behind you. Your feet hurt, your face is still. You've learned to make your face still. That's the first skill, stillness, looking like a man who has already decided what happens next. You make 80,000 yen a month, about $550, but you eat for free and there are perks. The hostess club 2 doors down lets you in without paying. The ramen shop on the corner leaves a bowl out for you at midnight without you asking. These are small things. They tell you how small you still are. The people giving you free ramen are not afraid of you. They are being polite. There's a difference. You know this. You remember it. Not everyone gets asked to do what comes next. Most guys never leave the door. You get asked. Shop in Akihabara. Married, 2 kids, an ordinary person who borrowed from the wrong source and made the ordinary mistake of thinking he could delay. You go with 2 other men. You don't break anything. You don't touch him. That's not how it works. Not anymore, not in daylight, not in a shop with a glass front. You stand in the aisle between the televisions and the camera equipment and you explain very quietly that the debt has grown to 2.4 million yen and that continued delays are not in anyone's interest. He writes the check, shaking. That's the first time you understand what you actually are now. Not muscle, not a threat, something colder. A reminder, a living, breathing reminder that the rules apply. You make 200,000 yen a month now, about $1,400. You buy a suit that actually fits. You buy a watch, nothing flashy, a Seiko, but clean. You move out of the shared apartment. You have 1 room, a window that faces another building, and no one you have to explain yourself to. By now, the police have a file with your name in it. It doesn't have much, but it has your name. That's new. You survived 4 years. That alone means something. Most men who start where you started are either out, in prison, or buried in unmarked ceremony by now. You're standing in a private room in a kaiseki restaurant with lacquered bowls and 30,000 yen sake, and the man who runs the third largest Yakuza family in the Kanto region. He tells you that you think clearly under pressure. He says this like it's a compliment. It is. It's also an assignment. You are now responsible for 6 men. Their problems are your problems. Their mistakes are your mistakes. Their money flows through you first, and what flows through you correctly goes up the chain, and what flows through you incorrectly comes back to find you. You oversee the collections: 2 pachinko parlors, a construction subcontractor, 3 restaurants that pay a monthly fee for what's called peace of mind. Total about 8 million yen a month through your hands. You keep 400,000 yen, roughly $2,800. The rest moves up. Here's what they don't tell you. You are now too valuable to lose and too visible to protect. Your phone is tapped. You know it's tapped. You say nothing on the phone that matters. You have become a person who communicates in person, in cars, in motion, never standing still, never in the same place twice in a row. Paranoia is not a flaw at this level. Paranoia is the skill. The National Police Agency has opened a dedicated file on your organization. Your photo is on page 12. You have not been charged with anything, not yet. You stopped sleeping deeply. You haven't slept deeply in 6 months. You don't tell anyone this.
By now, you understand the real business. The real business is not violence. Violence is expensive. It brings attention. It creates vacancies. It requires cleanup. The real business is the suggestion of violence, the permanent, unspoken, perfectly maintained implication that the alternative to cooperation is something no one wants to find out about. You now manage 42 men across 5 districts. You have jurisdiction over 3 loan sharking operations, 2 construction front companies, a security consulting firm, and a portfolio of commercial real estate held in the names of people who don't know they hold it. Your gross is 60 million yen a month. You take home 1.2 million yen, about $8,400. The gap between what flows through you and what stays with you is enormous. You don't complain about this. Complaining about this is not a thing you do. You understand that the take is not the point. The position is the point. The access is the point. The call you can make to the man above you that solves a problem that no lawyer and no phone call can solve. That is the point. You buy your mother a house in Yokohama. She asks you once where the money comes from. You tell her you're in real estate. She nods and doesn't ask again. She makes you dinner every Sunday. She doesn't know she's the only person in your life you don't perform for. You have been mentioned in 2 National Police Agency reports. You have not been indicted. You have 3 lawyers on retainer who bill 50,000 yen an hour and earn every yen. The men under you call you Wakakashira-san. The 2 syllables at the end are not optional.
This is where it gets complicated. You are now number 2 in a family of 340 registered members. The Oyabun above you is 63 years old and has been building this organization since before you were born. He is not a violent man. He is a patient man, which is more dangerous. You run the organization day to day. The Oyabun sets direction. You execute. When a rival family moves into a territory you control, you are the one who decides, diplomacy or pressure. You have a meeting over dinner. The food is perfect. No one raises their voice. 3 weeks later, the rival family's front business has a tax inspection and 2 of their men are quietly arrested on outstanding warrants. You didn't make a single phone call anyone can trace. Your annual take, 180 million yen, about $1.25 million. Before the lawyers, the trust accounts, the charitable foundations that exist to move money into legitimate real estate, the political donations that are not technically illegal and therefore exist in a gray zone no prosecutor has successfully challenged. You are on the NPA's most wanted list now, number 5. There's a photo of you taken from a surveillance camera outside a restaurant in suit jacket and sunglasses, mid-stride. You look in the photo like a man who knows exactly where he's going. You are not always sure that's true. There are meetings you attend where you're the youngest person in the room by 15 years. The old men talk about the old ways, obligation, honor, the code. You listen, you agree. You also understand that the old ways are mostly nostalgia maintained by men whose survival required them to abandon the old ways at some point and who prefer not to think about that. You have been arrested twice, questioned for 23 days under Japan's detention system, released without charge both times. The 23 days felt like a year. You did not say a single word that wasn't your name.
The Oyabun retired, quietly,
A ceremony in a private room, sake poured, hands pressed flat, the title passed. You are now the kumicho of a family with 340 registered members, 6 affiliated groups, and operations spanning real estate, entertainment, financial services, and construction across 3 prefectures. The annual gross of the organization is approximately 12 billion yen. In US dollars, that's 85 million. You personally control the flow of roughly $12 million annually. And you haven't slept in a house that isn't swept for surveillance devices in 3 years. You move between 4 residences, none of them are in your name. You have 3 phones, each used for different categories of contact. Your public face is a real estate development company in Shinjuku with 12 employees and a clean corporate website. You attend charity events. You are photographed shaking hands with local politicians who desperately need you not to say what you know about them. The NPA has had your case file open for 9 years. The prosecutor assigned to your organization has devoted his career to building a case that will hold. He is thorough, he is patient, he has been photographed outside every building you own. Here's what no one tells you about being the boss. You don't give orders anymore, not real ones. You signal, you imply. The men below you read the implication and act on it, and when they act on it, the action is their decision. The paper trail ends 3 levels below you. This is called plausible deniability. You call it the job. You have not been touched in public in 6 years. Not a greeting, not a photograph, not a handshake. You are surrounded by men at all times. 3 cars in the convoy, at minimum. Nobody touches the boss. You haven't felt touched in about the same amount of time. The warrant came on a Tuesday. An organized crime task force, NPA, Tokyo Metropolitan Police, prosecutors moved simultaneously. 14 men from your organization were arrested in a single morning. A man you trusted for 12 years gave a statement. You don't blame him. He had 2 daughters and a wife, and they had leverage on him you didn't know about. You would have done the same thing. You like to believe you wouldn't have, but you've been honest enough with yourself for long enough to know the difference between what you believe and what is true. You were not in Japan when it happened. You had known for 3 weeks that something was closing. You left without saying goodbye to anyone. That's the part that will stay with you. You were in Taiwan, then you were in the Philippines, then Macau. The organization continues to function without you. That was always the design. A system that requires the top man to keep running is not a system, it is a dependency. You appear once at a meeting in a villa outside Manila, 20 men, you eat together, no phones in the room, you give instruction for 2 hours and then you're gone. That meeting will surface in an NPA intelligence report 14 months later. They will have the photos from a camera they placed in a neighboring building. They will have the audio from a device in the ventilation they placed 2 days before. They were better than you thought. You are now the number 2 most wanted organized crime figure in Japan. Your face is in the arrivals hall of Narita Airport, at Haneda, at every border crossing. You have not been home in 4 years. Home, you still call it that. That is probably the problem. You are 47 years old. You are sitting in a hotel room in a city that is not Tokyo, and you are watching a Japanese news broadcast on a screen mounted to a beige wall. The reporter is standing outside your family's headquarters, the building you sat in for 12 years, the one with the plaque in the lobby and the fish tank in the waiting room and the secretary named Matsuda who has worked there for 21 years and who you always trusted. She's 60 now. She's probably scared. The broadcast says your organization has been designated under Japan's anti-organized crime legislation. The designation means the assets freeze, the front companies lose their licenses, the men who work legally on the edges of the organization lose those jobs. 340 registered members, most of whom are men with families who made choices they cannot unmake. The reporter uses your name 4 times in the segment. The 4th time, they put your photo on screen. The photo from the restaurant 9 years ago, you in the suit jacket, mid-stride. The photo that made you look like a man who knew where he was going. You turn off the television. You built something. You built something that survived for 11 years under your leadership, that grew from 200 to 340 members, that navigated police pressure and rival incursion in internal politics that would have collapsed a less patient man. You built something real, in the sense that it worked. In the sense that it mattered, you're less sure. The men who loved you most are either in prison or afraid. The one person you couldn't perform for, your mother, died 3 years ago in the house you bought her in Yokohama. You were not at the funeral. You couldn't risk it. You watched the stream from the same kind of hotel room in the same kind of city on a tablet screen, your face reflected in the glass. You are number 1 on the most wanted list. You have $2 billion in liquid assets you cannot access without triggering a flag. You have 43 years of life behind you and an unclear number of years ahead of you, and no one in this hotel room. You pull out the one phone you still trust. You stare at the screen. You don't dial.
There is a 16-year-old in Kabuki-cho right now. He does not know your name. Or if he does, he knows it the way you knew the names of the men who came before you, as mythology, as proof that it's possible. He's already decided he wants to find out. You were him. He doesn't know that yet. The man in the suit doesn't know it either. Or maybe he does. Maybe that's why he's still standing there, still wearing the suit, still maintaining this